Hi there, I care and you matter. I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel and welcome to another writing video. Today we're going to be talking about book decks. What is a book deck? A book deck is something I made up, at least I'm sure other people do this too, but I call it a book deck. It's just a collection of index cards that have information about a book or even just a project that you're working on. With a concept or an idea on each card, note card, and then punched and held together with a binder clip. And then to keep my book decks neat and tidy and easy to transport wherever I want to work, I keep my decks held together with a little 1/4-inch braided elastic, which I loop, tie in a knot, and just top off the edges with a little Fray Check. You can get Fray Check on Amazon. I love that stuff. I'll leave a link down below. I'll leave a link to everything I can in the video so that if you want to do this for yourself, you can equip yourself to do so accordingly. Another thing that I like to do with my book decks is I like to use pouches to store them so I can take them on the go wherever I want to work. And I mentioned this in another video. I'm going to mention it briefly now. A great place to get little pouches at the perfect size are cosmetic pouches at local thrift stores. I like to have a variety so I can pick a different pouch based on the project that I'm working on. And you can just get them a dime a dozen. I just look for a good size, colorful, and make sure they're in good condition and nice and clean. And just to give you a glance, this is a current, I'm not going to show all of it, but this is a glance at a current book deck that I'm working on now. I'm working on a book about hope. And so I just find it's a great way for me to work, and I wanted to share with you 10 different reasons I like using book decks. So the first reason is it provides an analog or creative way to process, sort, and organize ideas. It's hard to stare at a blank, flickering screen, isn't it? We're always more apt to reach our goal, to reach our destination, if we know where we're going. So a book deck gives me a way to create that kind of roadmap for the book that I'm actually writing. Next, it enables me to easily reorganize with a bird's eye view without having to rewrite, and I can tuck new things in whenever I need. So in other words, before the book deck gets put together with a binder clip, or not a binder clip, excuse me, a binder ring, I lay them all out and I sort and I organize. I love that tactile way of organizing and seeing everything out at one time. Number 3, easily transportable. I can take this little thing anywhere I want to go. If I want to go sit and work in a waiting room and jot down more notes, I can easily take my book deck with me a lot more easily than a whole binder or any other kind of system. I'm not always going to take my laptop with me. I'd much rather take a little book deck that I don't have to worry about the batteries running out on and take advantage of that time and ability to quickly and easily jot down more notes. Next, piggybacking on that tip, this system, a book deck can grow and shrink as needed. I can open up this binder ring and add as many more index cards as I want to. I can add, I can grow. It might get so large that I think, this would actually be better served as 2 books rather than 1. So it can grow and shrink as I want it to, very easily, very efficiently, and very economically. Speaking of economically, book decks are cheap, accessible, and there's no monthly fee. I know a lot of writers, no judgment, like to take advantage of online tools. I loathe subscriptions. I loathe having to pay monthly fees. The only fees involved with this is index cards, which I'm going to talk about in a second here, and my time. That's it. So you can't get much more cheap and accessible and easy as that. Number 6, using these book decks, these index cards, forces me to whittle down big concepts and encourages me to be small, think narrow, and be concise, right? Because clear is kind, and in order to be clear, concise helps. And another reason I like to whittle down my ideas is It helps me not be overwhelmed when I sit down to write. I try and keep one idea, one concept to each index card, because that one idea can often grow in and of itself. That's when extra notes get written everywhere on the card. But to begin with, it's an easy way to organize ideas in a simple, specific, and concrete way, which I think makes my writing better, and I hope that it would help you as well. Number 7, it's easy to reference when I'm at the computer. Oh my goodness, it's small. And honestly, I'm going to grab this. I love the fact that it fits on a phone stand. This is just a cell phone stand that folds up, that I keep by my desk. And I love it because it's adjustable, height and angle. And my book deck just sits right there. It takes up no space. In fact, it can be tucked away, folded and tucked away when I'm not writing, not working on it. But I can't do that. I can't have a huge binder out right underneath my monitor. So the size really makes it easy to reference and use. And that's my next tip. Fits on a phone stand in front of my monitor. Again, I can't emphasize how the size of this book deck really helps me out, both in terms of my concentration, my thought process, my ideation process, but also ultimately the writing process when I finally do sit down in front of the computer. It's easy to reference. I literally don't have to move my neck. I just glance down. 9, this is a big one for me. If I screw up, if I change my mind, I can take that card out, rip it up, and make a new one. I shouldn't be this way, but I'm going to call a spade and admit to it. I don't like it when I make a mistake in a notebook. I don't like it when I make mistakes in a pretty journal. But an index card, okay, that's not a huge not a huge commitment. I can rip that up and start an index card over, no problem, because my book decks matter to me. One, I enjoy the planning process. 2, I think the more seriously I invest in my planning process, and I like it to look nice because I'm going to be looking at it for a long time, the better my finished product will be. So yeah, I love the fact that it's easy for me to create a new index card, no harm, no foul. Last but not least, number 10, book decks create an easy reference to keep for the future. If I'm ever looking to do a video, let's say, about a book that I recently released, or a book even that I wrote a couple years ago, I can grab the book deck, because the book decks I can just throw in a shoebox. Throw the elastic around it and then throw it in a shoebox and, slide it under my bed. And if I don't reference it ever again, okay, no problem. It's taking up very little real estate. But if I do need that information and I don't want to read through my book all over again, sometimes it's easier to go back to the book deck that I've already created. And actually, I wouldn't necessarily keep it with the binder ring. I would pull the binder ring off. That way I could use that. So how do I make these book decks? Really simple. First and foremost, I start with my favorite index cards. These are the Oxford Heavyweight Ruled Index Cards, not sponsored. I am still so small, no one's ever going to sponsor me. But if Oxford came and wanted to sponsor me, I would get behind it, because this in particular, these index cards are worth their weight in gold because they're so durable and thick. They don't bleed through, and they're very rigid. And because my book decks take a beating, and they need to work as hard as I do, and these cards absolutely do. The only downside is they don't come punched. So how do I punch them? I go to my local thrift store and I found me a real heavy duty hole punch. I don't like buying new anything, except maybe index cards. And so I just moved, you can see over here, I moved 2 of the punches over because I don't even use them. And I grabbed me some index cards. Where'd they go? Well, let's just grab some out of my drawer here. Grab me some index cards, and because this is the heavy duty one, I can do a stack of maybe 10 cards at a time. And I moved the spacer, and I looked, when I purchased this punch, I made sure that I found one that didn't wiggle much. I could move it and there wasn't going to be a lot of wiggle room there. Push the cards all the way over, all the way up. There you have it. And I can sit and punch hundreds of cards while I'm watching TV at night. It's not a big deal for me. But the payoff is huge because I just make sure that I have a huge stack of punched cards ready to go at any time so that it doesn't impede my ideation or writing process. Next, what you need are binder rings. And these, oh my gosh, you get a ton of them real cheap online in multiple sizes. I've even seen colored rings. I don't care for the colored ones, but hey, go for it if that's your thing. I like the heavy-duty nickel-plated ones. And they usually come just in a Ziploc baggie. But I don't like keeping them in the bag because I don't think it doesn't fit real well in my desk drawer. So instead, I just saved an old prescription bottle. And that's how I store them, inside a little pill bottle. And because I have psoriatic arthritis, I always get arthritis-friendly caps, not the child safety caps, which I love because, oh, can't get them all back in there. I just have a lid that pops on and off. So that's how I store all my binder rings. And like I said, you get a ton of them for very little money on Amazon. At least that's how I choose to purchase them. Last but not least, how do I keep the book deck together? As you saw at the beginning, I use 0.25 inch braided elastic. Sells it by the yard. You can get it on Amazon in just multiple colors, but you're going to have to buy in bulk. I'm going to leave a link to the Etsy shop where I buy mine because I drop a little money there. I invest. But then you get to get pretty colors. I don't know why. I don't care for colors on my binder rings, but I like different colors for my little elastic bands here. Actually, not elastic at all. Yeah, it is elastic. I'm thinking rubber bands. So what I do is I take a good 6-7 inch length. I loop it, and then I just tie it off, and then I snip the edge. And the next step you don't have to do. This is a little extra. But because I do get so much use out of these, I use a little dab of Fray Check. And you can get this on Amazon. I'll leave a link below. This is by a company called Dritz. It's a sewing notion, right? Crafters. And it helps ribbon, fabric, anything really from fraying it. So I just put a little dab on the edge, and then I set this on a blank piece of paper until it's dry and it won't fray. And yeah, so these are just really, really wonderful because they lay flat. They're colorful. And again, I'm going to leave a link to the gal that I purchased from on Etsy because she's very economical. Shipping can be kind of a little costly, but when you buy a bunch at one time, the price goes down considerably. So there you have it. Now you know why I use book decks, what they are, and how to make your own. I hope you've liked this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below and give me a like, and consider sharing my video with somebody who you think might also enjoy it. Until the next time, I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.